about all my life. So it's sort of one thing led to the other. But in the early days of chiropractic, I found you'd adjust somebody. I don't know how many people have had some chiropractic experience. Not many, okay. So, but you adjust somebody, the next time you go back and you find you've got to do the same thing again, and again, and again. And I call that Groundhog Day chiropractic. If you don't learn the lesson today, you've got to do it again. So I started asking better questions about why we're doing what we're doing. And it's just evolved into a process that we've done away with physical manipulation, and it's just about turning the brain onto the body and asking why this is. It's just a totally different mindset. Rather than treating a symptom, and that's what most people get when you go to any health professional, is they'll ask you what the symptom is and try and alleviate the symptom without understanding where it came from. And we need to know where it came from before we can correct the problem. And so one of the other things that we found that we had to work with, if you come into this life with a program from your ancestors about what's running the show, if you can't clear the program, you can't clear the problem. And so we've started to learn how we can actually change the programs that are running us, and then we don't have to go through the same process over and over again. So it's all energy work. It's just asking the brain to do what it was supposed to do in the first place. But anything that you are exposed to, physically, emotionally, chemically, electromagnetically, geopathically, or astrologically, that you can't deal with that quick, is going to cause these two hemispheres of your brain to work differently, which is going to cause the muscles in your neck to work differently, which is going to pull this first vertebra of your spine out of line. Now that's the key. People go looking all over the body for treatment of something, but if they haven't got this right, they haven't got anything right. And that's what I've learned over 30 odd years of working with chiropractic. So that's where we're going to go. So you've got to get the question right, and that's the deal. So we've found over the years that we'll use terms, I talk chiropractic terms because that's all I really know. I don't use medical terms because I know nothing about medical. But we talk about subluxation. When that first vertebra in your neck is out of line, or when any vertebra is out of line, it's called a subluxation. Sub is less than or under. Luxation is an old-fashioned word for dislocation. So it's less than a dislocation. It's a minor misalignment of the bone of the spine. So if we have a subluxation anywhere in our spine, it's causing interference to nerve messages. And that's what we've got to change. And so any problem you ever find with your horse, it's going to come back to that somewhere. But you've got to find out why it is. Now, the last 18 months have been horrendous for solar disturbance. I don't know if anybody's been aware of what's happening on the sun, but in 2009 we found one major solar disturbance that was affecting people. Last year we found 21. This year we're up to about 26. The latest one was over the weekend. And they're driving things crazy. And they are causing every epidemic that ever you could dream of. So it's not the bacteria and the viruses that are the problem, even though they do get involved. But their job is to recycle stuff. Bacteria are there to break things down. If we didn't have bacteria working all the time, we'd be standing in 100 feet of dead trees and dead kangaroos. So they're there to recycle things. But sometimes they get out of control because the environment internally is conducive to their survival. We don't want them, not the bad ones anyway. We've got to have good ones, and they can work in harmony with us. But when that gets out of balance, because the message from the brain to the body isn't working, then something goes wrong. So I've broken it down to about 11 different distortions of this atlas vertebra. That's the first one under the skull. And so when we know what that's doing, we've got a fair idea of what's going on, because things always cause that atlas to go the same way every time in everybody. If you're poisoned by herbicide, it'll always pull it that way. If you've got parasites, it'll pull it that way. There are 11 different varieties of that. So we know once we find out what direction that first vertebra's gone, basically why it went out of line. And then if we can clear the program that's running, because anything you can't adapt to is running a new program in your personal desktop computer. If you have a virus in your laptop or your PC, shut it down tonight, start it up tomorrow, same crummy program, same corrupted information. And the same with ourselves and our horses. Go to sleep tonight, get up in the morning, same corrupted program. So until we change that program, nothing's going to work any different. So when we change the program, everything works different. And so we can clear all sorts of things. So we don't have to do it physically because we're working with energy. Energy doesn't have any boundaries. So I've cleared people's shoulders in California and their Q fever in Texas, and a young student of mine, he was 16 when he did his first school with us a few years ago, and he's out of Jericho, and he cleared a couple of pups with parvo last week that were in emerald, and so there's no limit to what you can do. I can teach the basic stuff in a couple of days school, but then the more you practice at this sort of stuff, the better you get. And I've been working up to this for 28 years, and we're starting to get smarter every day. So probably with that we might bring a horse in there and see where we go. For the owner or somebody like that, and then they get a bit of an idea of what's going on. So we start just using muscle testing, because that's just a neat thing God gave us to work with. Hold that there, stop me pushing it down. Now that works, doesn't it? And if I just come on the bridge of your nose there, that goes weak. Now that might be all right, but it mightn't. And if I put a hand on that hemisphere, that's okay. So when this goes weak and this goes strong, we've got something to work with. The body memory is working okay and it's running electrically okay, so that's all right. So you're now expressing more than 80% of your physical potential? No. You're expressing 60% of your physical potential, 70%, 65%. So 65 or something like that isn't real good. We want people up around 99 because that's where they're healing and repairing. But a lot of people, when I see them, are 1% or less. They're really out the back door. So we want to see how this pony, what's the pony called? Brad. Righto, Brad. Just put a hand on the forehead there, Brad. Here's my hand. And hold that arm there. And that works, doesn't it? So put a hand on this side of his head. That goes weak. And put it on this side. Good bud. And that goes weak. So the two hemispheres are down. So Brad's not doing real well. So put the hand back on the forehead again. And so Brad's now expressing, because we know what you're doing, Brad's now expressing more than 20% of his physical potential, 10%, 5%, 6%, 5%. You're not going to get a lot of good work out of a course like this. What I see when I go around shows and rodeos and things like that horses generally are running under 14%, and they're screwing their tails and they're not performing. They're locking up, their back's hollowing out, they can't bring their legs forward, and they're just not able to do it. But when you get them running at 100%, they're different animals. So we've got to find out what's running with Brad. Just put two fingers in the middle of his nose there, and we'll just see what's happening there. Now that's pretty weak, isn't it? So Brad's dehydrated. Just two fingers on the tip of your nose, that goes weak, it says he's dehydrated. We've got to clear that before we can do anything with him, because he won't work electrically while he's dehydrated. We didn't check that with you, did we? Did you or not? So that's all right. And now we've got a point here, just on that long muscle that comes down there, about the middle of that muscle, and we'll pinch that. And just put a hand on him somewhere, just up here a little. And if I pinch that, and he's minerally out of balance. So again, he can't work well if he's not getting all the right nutrients and the minerals. So we've got to get those things corrected before we can do anything else. But let's see what else he's got. His hand on his forehead. And if we pinch here, just the long muscles going on this side of his back, if we pinch them and go there, that goes weak. That says he's poisoned by herbicides. And if we stretch those muscles, it's not pesticide. And if we pinch it on the opposite side, it says he's got parasites. And if we come down here like that, and he's affected by solar disturbances of some sort. And if we come in here, doesn't seem to be any memory of viruses. If we come just under there like that, there's no bacteria. Keep your feet to yourself. And if we come just in here wee bit, and there's no yeast or mould that's apparent. So already we know half his story. Now, then we've got to find out what the priority is. But let's just look at this here. Now put a hand on his forehead. And that goes weak. Now if you pick one horse up and you can't get a strong muscle test, you're almost dead certain that one of the big problems we've got to deal with first is solar disturbance. And we all had that cue for that equine influenza a few years ago, which wasn't equine influenza. I've seen 5 horses test positive for equine influenza in the last 3 or 4 years. And it was all Q fever. But Q fever isn't what people think Q fever is. Q fever is caused by the sun doing a flip every 11 years. The North Pole becomes the South Pole. It puts out electromagnetic field which wipe us all out on the same day. Well, actually, horses go down a day early. So we'll have a look at what his priorities are. So, as a priority for Brad today, we need to clear something from the initial scan. He doesn't know what the initial scan is, but the universe does. We need to clear something from the secondary scan, from the tertiary scan. So we've got to go to the initial scan. So as a priority for Brad, we've already found what's on the initial scan. Those few things I round up are the initial scan. So as a priority for Brad, we need to clear the solar disturbance first. We need to clear the dehydration first, then the solar disturbance, then something else. Yeah. So we better clear the dehydration first. So now, it might be better than somebody else's, but it just says dehydration. And if we put that up in front of Brad, doesn't like that. Now, did he get dehydrated in this life, or did he start with a program coming from his ancestors? So, to clear this for Brad, we need to go back more than 10 generations. True story. So his ancestors were dehydrated before he even got here. We need to go back 20 generations, 30 generations, 25 generations, 26, 25 generations back. Some ancestor had a bad time with water. Back 20 generations and back 5 generations, and when I put them together, that'll cancel this dehydration out. So I'll just put them in this plastic bag so they don't slide everywhere, and that makes it better. Right? Now to clear this, there's a point just back here behind his elbow. It's just about 1.5 inches or something behind his elbow. That'll go weak. So when we bring more information in, it'll go weak, then strong, then weak, and if we add something else, then it'll go strong, and if we add something else, it'll go weak. So we keep working with these, and when it's going strong and weak alternately, we know we're on the right track. But if you put something else in and it doesn't change the response, it's not what we're looking for. So we come in here. Just keep your feet to yourself, buddy. And we just tap down that spine. And somehow, don't ask me how, that just reprograms it. But we've got to do it a bit more. So we come under his chin, just a couple of fingers in the groove of his chin, and tap down there. And then he's going to really love this one because we normally go and a point on his flank there, and it's not too bad. Now, just to find the point, just hand on there, and that should go weak there when I go on that point. If I go in the wrong place, yeah, so. But I just test myself. That's strong, that's weak. So once you do that, you can do anything. So we just got to tap up there. And then we put a fist on his forehead. And then just bring your head around here, buddy. And we just come in the corners of his eyes and tap up there. And then we come under there to finish off. And then he's not dehydrated anymore. Now put your fingers in the tip of his nose. No problem. Now we check this mineral point. And he's even running better minerally, isn't he? Yeah. So when you get rehydrated, then it can start working with the minerals. But oftentimes you've got to use some better mineral supplement to do that. I don't know what people here use for mineral supplement, but I'm pretty fussy about what I use. If God made it, it's okay. If man made it, it's pretty risky. So I just use macrobiotic sea salt that's been specially harvested to retain all the minerals. If the sea salt's white, it's no good. Pink rock salt's okay, but some horses don't want to eat it. But if you put a spoonful of sea salt in their food, they can't help but eat it, and that makes a big difference. If horses are having problems with healthy hooves, you put a bit of sea salt in their feed every day and it'll change the rules. My horses have got a growth ring about that wide around there of just healthy hoof growth. The only other thing that I've seen it do better is fodder factories. How many people have got a fodder factory? Or sprout barley? Yeah. I was out at Gundawini at a camp draft a few months ago, and one bloke there feeds all his horses out of a fodder factory, and they had the widest, a good inch wide of new hoof growth all around there. Just the healthiest feet on any horse I've ever seen. And so that's got the hydration a bit better. Now, so let's see what's next. So as a priority for Brad, we now have to clear the solar disturbance. No, we have to clear the herbicide poison. Now we've got to go to herbicide poison. So we'll do that. Mustn't like that. And to clear this, we need to go back more than one generation. We need to go back one generation. We need to clear it for this lifetime only. Now, herbicide poison is singly the biggest cause of back pain on the planet. Somebody comes into me with acute back pain, you can guarantee they've been poisoned by herbicide. Whether they used it themselves or whether somebody sprayed 10 miles over there and it blew across here, doesn't matter. But it will give you back pain, and it'll go down that right side, into that hip, down that leg, nearly every time. As well as that, it's major cause of flu-type symptoms. Up in Rocky, the medics used to call it summer flu, but it was just herbicide poison. You clear that and it goes away. It causes stomach disturbance, it causes asthma, it causes headaches, it causes depression, it causes cancer, it causes, So don't ever use herbicide, no matter what you call it. So we've got to use it for this lifetime, haven't we? So what we've got to do there is come in here, and that's all right. You just put your hand on his forehead, and that goes weak, doesn't it? And where we go? That's strong there, right? So we'll just tap down there. Your eyes. Stretch one out like his big warm body. Now let's see what we've got. pinch these muscles, and there's no herbicide. That's gone. So as the next priority we need to clear for Brad is solar disturbance, pesticide, parasites. We need to clear parasites next, solar disturbance next. Probably parasites. So it's not bites. Too bad. Roundworms. Yeah. Red worms. Paper, 2 lots. Wait, what? You don't like that paper? Yeah. Wait, mate. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Good man. Good man. There you go. Giardia. And one on that's not on the list are, what is it? What's that other word? These ones are strong rolls, it's red worms. Red worms. So I'll just check red worms. I didn't put it on this list because I didn't have much call for it, but just the last few months it's been coming up. And threadworm. So that's as easy as it is to find out what's going wrong. Righto, so we'll hold all that up there. Now, to clear this from Brad, we need to go back more than 20 generations, 30 generations, 40 generations, 35 generations, 36, 37, 36 generations. And it doesn't matter how much you worm a horse with any of their pastes and powders, you'll never clear it back 36 generations. So the program's still running. So they still behave as if that's part of the problem. Good enough. Always like to double check things because sometimes you just might have gone to 37, and if it fails on 36, then you've got to go to the next one. So that's all right. And we'll come in here. You know that's strong. We're just going to go to the weak point. That'll do. Now, what I've never done, and I should do one day, is do an egg count in their feces. But I've never ever got that involved because they get well anyway. You know, I got a little chestnut mare at home, and a couple of years ago she was really rubbing a tail. And I got a photo of her. It was really quite curled up there. And within 2 weeks of clearing that, she's never rubbed the tail since. Oh, sorry, bud. Now, if you're working with a great big warm blood or something like that, and you can't stretch right back there, then do it on yourself. You know, instead of going up and coming under a chin, I'll go under my chin, and it'll clear it just as good. So if you can't put your hand in their flank, just put your hand in your own flank and go up there, and it'll clear it. So now we'll check the parasites here, thankfully, and parasites are on the way out. And that horse is just clearing that is going to make a big difference. I was doing a school out at Roma a couple of years ago, and nearly every horse came in testing up in the 80s and 90s of their physical potential. And I thought, that's weird. But the first thing we found with them all was parasites. And it was artificially masking where they were. And once you clear parasites, they go down to about 5 or 10%. And somehow it was just artificially giving them a false positive. Righto, so what are we going to do with Bradley now? So as a priority for Bradley now, we need to clear the solar disturbance. We better do that. So we've done all these other things, pick the foot up, but that still won't let him stand on 3 legs. But Bradley's now expressing more than 60% of his physical potential, 70%, 80%, 90%. So he's come up a fair way, so we know he's getting better. We've got to get him further. So, as a priority, we need to clear Q fever. True story. Now this card's got a whole list of stuff on it. It's just everything I could find out about Q fever. So whether I'm wrong or somebody else is wrong doesn't matter. But when we put it against there, it goes weak. But when we first asked the question, because I try and clear Q fever and it wouldn't clear. And next week somebody come in, they'd have the same problem again. And have to clear it again. So then I thought, is there a time earlier where they got this same thing? And I found 21 years earlier it was the same problem, and 21 years earlier than that. So then I had to find out, 22 years or something, 22 years. It was on the 22-year cycle. And then I looked on Google about 22-year cycle, and the sun does a flip every 11 years. North pole becomes a south pole. It puts out an electromagnetic field that wipes us all out. So this other card I've got here is exactly the same as that card, except it's got the frequency that the sun puts out, which is 261 hertz, and that'll go strong. So we can clear it with that. And so to clear this, we need to go back 40 generations, 50 generations, 45 generations, 46. Now, all horses will test somewhere about 40, 45 generations for this. People will generally test about 170. I don't know what the difference is. And so that's about where that is. And I just go into automatic pilot sometimes, and a lot of the horses you can't read, so I just use myself. Now let's see what that did. Let's do that. Yeah, that's all right. Now pick this foot up. It doesn't matter which foot. That's better. So Bradley's now expressing more than 90% of his physical potential, 95%, 96, 97. So there's still a bit to do. Now, missed the point, because we haven't been checking atlas, and we should have been. Too much talk. So the first thing we cleared was herbicide poison, and herbicide poison would be pulling atlas out this way, so there's the end on there, this end. And so if we push that atlas that way, so that's still a memory there that we've got to clear. So we better do that. One's gone right posterior, and it's a type 1 which says the second vertebra's gone with it, so we'll put that there, and that'll go weak. And to clear this, we need to clear it for this lifetime only, so that was what it was, isn't it? So we'll put that there, and we come down here. And if you don't have to talk, you can roll along fairly quickly with this. What do I do? Do I do that one? I was coming back from the school out at Bohemia a couple of years ago, and a long-time patients of mine that are out at Theodore gave me a call and said, can you stop and meet us on the road with a couple of horses that we need adjusting? And one of the horses was one that this bloke's wife had just bought off the racetrack, and a bit of a skiddy sort of thing, and you couldn't handle him in the float. I couldn't get near him. Tom could handle him, Tom could hold him, but I couldn't do anything. So I just had to stand here and make like I was going through the motions, but we cleared him. He was good as gold. Now, so then after that we did parasites, didn't we? Yep. Right. So parasites always pull that first vertebra that way. And so, what did we go back for parasites? 25 or something, didn't we? Yeah, out that, we'll find out.
25.
So to clear the subluxation, we need to go back 20 generations, 30 generations, 25 generations, 26, 25 will do it. Oh, we've got to put a 25 there, haven't we? There it is there. And so that's okay. Just there, yeah. I was working on a horse one day and all he wanted to do was kick everybody around. He was a trotter and he just wanted to kick the driver out of the cart. By the time we'd gone less time than this, his head was down there, he gave up kicking, and I saw him about, must have been nearly 12 months later. Just perfect gentleman, just never offered to do anything. Right. So that's better. Now, what did we do after that? The Q fever. Q fever will pull that atlas that way and pull the second one that way. So it's not pulling anything that way. It's only just going that way. What am I doing? And that was 46 generations. 46? 45. Okay, so we go there. And to clear this, we need to go back 46 generations, 47, yeah. Oh, that's in my pocket. For the generations for Canada. Yeah. We mentioned it, but I mustn't have put the cards with that. So what's the time now? It's 1:45. Trip back in time. You can't cause a problem with this, you can't hurt anything. But we'll put that in there. And we'll go back to, that test's okay. But we'll go back to 1:15, and that's still a problem. And so we'll redo that just to be on the safe side. And to clear this, it's now 1:15, and to clear this Q fever, we need to go back 45 generations, 46, yeah, I thought it was 45. And so we'll put that there. And And if we don't go back through the generations, it won't hold. It might be all right for a little while, but then it won't be quiver.
Now I always work from this side of the horse, because this point's only on this side.
And, righto. So that's clear. Now we can clear that subluxation. There we go. Now we can go in there. Good. Now we go. Should be strong. The beauty about this, you can do it yourself real easy.
Mozzie's chewed us out pieces at night. So the next morning, everybody's up there at daylight going through tapping through themselves with Mozzie viruses. Yeah, it's really good there. Something else. Brad's had about enough. I go from there to there under Yorkshire, and when that goes weak, you can't do it anymore, because anything else we do will be lost. His body's going through enough process. There's going to be some other things that he needs to have done. Just the attitude of his head says it's got some major problems. He wants to gut his jaw out all the time. Let's just have a look back here. Now that comes up nice and easy, even though he isn't real comfortable about that. So that's all right. What do you like around here, Bradley? We've got... Yeah, pick this up here. Pick this up here. That's good. That's great. If a horse can pick his feet up like that, well, probably a better way to put it, if he can't pick his feet up like that, he's nearly always got a jaw problem. So I don't suspect he's got a jaw problem. Or he's got a problem with his hemispheres. We'll just look at that anyway, because that can cause so many problems. Just hand on his neck down here somewhere away from it. Yeah, that'd be good. And hold. And if I just go in there, no, messages are getting through. So he's got no brain problems there that we can easily identify. So I'd be happy with letting him go at that, but you know, in a few weeks he might want another tune-up just to clear some of the other things that are going on there. So what's his real problem?
Well, he hasn't actually got it at the moment, but he's on and off weighing at right offside.
Okay, come over here. Just through that leg as we test you. Just start down the bottom. There's something going on there, isn't there? Look at the other leg. Nothing there. Okay, we know we've got something there. So when we're looking at that, and we can identify that there is a problem, look at his spot. Not a problem in his spot. Now, while we're looking at that, can you just put your hand across that there? Just contact on his atlas, and now look at that foot. Doesn't do the same thing, does it? Because the problem's up there. If you don't clear it up there, that will never clear. So we've still got something to do, but his body doesn't want to deal with that. But let's have a look. The way he holds his head straight out like that tends to think that he might have pulled back when he was broken in or something, or
we've done a lot of straining and damage up there. I don't know. Right? But anything could have happened, but often that's what. And if we just pinch that there and stretch that, pinch it there. Doesn't like if we stretch it there. So just between that first and second vertebra, there's a bit of a challenge there. Now just as a demonstration, what's happening to the center?
Don't know.
Much going on. If we do anything past that going week, it generally falls over and we've got to do it again. But if we come in here and that goes weak, right, and if we push atlas backwards, no, axis has gone backwards, and so axis is backwards for some reason. So if we write C2 posterior inferior, that's my language for dealing with it anyway. Whatever you find, however you want to describe it, that's fine. The universe knows the difference. How old is this fellow? 6. All right. So I'll put that there. Doesn't like it. And so if we go back to what's 6 making, about 3 or 4. So if we go back to 2005, 2004, so somewhere when he was fairly young, that became a problem. Yeah, it fails in 2005, so it was a problem early in his life. So to clear this, so an ancestor might have had a similar problem. To clear this, we need to go back 200 generations. Oh no, 100 generations. More than 100 generations. We need to go back 100, no, 20 generations, 30 generations, 25, 26, 27, 26 generations. We've got to switch out of doing people to horses, because people go back hundreds of generations and horses generally don't. 26 generations. Test that, and that's pretty good. Yeah. If anybody's got any questions while we're going along here, don't sort of hesitate to ask. Righto, so that should be right, shouldn't it? According to the book. End on there. And we come in here again, and that's better, and that's better. We'll come back here and have a look at that foot. Different. And it will probably stay different unless we've already done too much. But yeah, so many horses I've had with problems like that, you know, wind walls and all sorts of things like that. You go up there, clear it, it's gone.
That's explain why it's nuisance.
Oh, it could be, whatever other stresses are going on in his life. Yeah.
Because you would think if the horse is lame, there's something wrong with the leg. But sometimes it is and sometimes it's not, and you think, well, it can't be.
Well, it's rarely ever down there. Sometimes it can be. My little mare I got at home, when I broke her in, she was as sore-footed as anything, but I couldn't see anything. But the next morning after I first rode her, I picked her feet up, she was still really sore, and then I saw where the abscess had broken out. Couldn't find it until it broke out. Well, they're all a problem. Often shin splints will come
has a problem from Atlas, then it'll affect it down here, and then it'll affect it into the legs. And so, but let's look at the rest of the horse while we're looking here. And just start from Atlas and just go down that spine. And what do you find there? There's something going on there, isn't it? With her, yeah. Somewhere about here, yeah. Yeah, not there, but just there. Yeah. So, and that can be funny sort of stuff. I did a horse the other day. He was there and there. He was sore and had a problem with his stifle and slipped out here. But when we cleared Atlas, it cleared all these just like that.
And what about actual physical injuries, say like a wound?
Yep.
Yeah, say a